What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Eagles Brawl Live, an emergency episode. Embrace the hurts is what we're calling this episode right now because all of Philadelphia is in pain. Carson Wentz has been traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Indianapolis Colts. It's finally done, Tyler. The deal is official. Ed will be joining us in a few after he puts out one of these stories I just wrote for SI. And we'll get it rocking and we'll get it rolling. Because we got some juicy, we got some more juicy stuff to go into the live episode. Right? Once he uploads the story and I tweeted out and I posted on my socials, I'll go into it on the show. But man, can you believe it? It's finally over. This hysteria is finally over. Carson Wentz is gone. He's not an Eagle anymore, man. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
It's like we all saw it coming for a couple months, and then it hit, and it still just doesn't seem real. Today was kind of a sad day. I'm not gonna lie. Today, I'm excited about Jalen Hurts. I'm excited for it to finally be done. But today was kind of, man, I need to shut my dogs up. It was kind of just a realization.
It's sad. It's sad, man. I mean, like, you didn't expect the quarterback you draft second overall in 2016. That's only 5 years ago. Not even 5 years ago. He's gone. He's out of here. Like, oh man! Shout out to Gio, man. We got the Gio emote going in the chat right now. Shout out to Gio because I know he's going through it, man. Did you see ESPN shared that? You see ESPN put his thing out that he put out the Carson Wentz that video?
Gio, I know. He's our stud.
Yeah, I love it. Get to a link later because we are bringing all the apparel.
Yes, I need to get some Eagles Brawl hats too as well. Dude, I keep saying
I literally wrote for Sports Illustrated that the Eagles are all in on Jalen Hurts as a starting quarterback. I'm 100% backing that statement and backing that article. Jalen Hurts will be your starting quarterback in 2021. It's gonna happen.
Do people have short? Well, I shouldn't ask that rhetorical. People have short memories, but hypothetically, even if the Eagles, and we're going to talk about it with Ed, and I want to bring this up with Ed here. So actually, I'll wait on it. I don't even want to talk about Hurts and pick six and the QB situation yet. But have you already seen like the fan base kind of already turn on Hurts, and it's just like, where's this going, man?
There's not that many people that believed in him, anyways.
Which is crazy to me. Like, don't you, from a resource perspective, don't you, like, if you use a second round pick on a player, don't you want to give him a real shot at least? And like, if you just take a guy at 6, it's just kind of just writing it off immedately. So
it's not gonna happen.
I'm fully anticipating it.
I'm fully anticipating not happening. It's gonna be Jalen Hurts' job. So when they came out and when they first hired Nick Sirianni and he says it's going to be competition. Like, we're going to get the competition out of the best of all the spots. I felt like, that's what you're saying with Nick Foles and Michael Vick in 2013. Like, you're going to get the competition, bring out the best in all spots. This is going to be Jalen Hurts' job to lose, if anything, if there is a competition. But I see them bringing in like a Tyrod as a backup. I know people said Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe Jacoby Brissett. But, I mean, it's going to be Jalen Hurts' job in 2021.
Like, absolutely. Like, okay, let's just go to the extreme real quick. The extreme of they take a QB at 6. Like, rewind to 2016. Carson Wentz was selected with the number 2 overall pick, and their entire intent was, we're not playing him this year. And then we talked on it the last episode. Bridgewater goes down, and then they trade Bradford. But the entire intent was Carson Wentz isn't seeing the field as a rookie. So let's go to the extreme that the Eagles take a quarterback at pick 6. Jalen Hurts has already been here. He's been familiar with the receivers. I just don't see them to a point of throwing a rookie into the fire if they have that same mindset. And that was a QB taken at 2 with Carson Wentz, and we all know his potential and what his talent was. But if a quarterback's taken at 6, even in that regard, I still think Jalen Hurts has a legitimate shot to be the quarterback in 2021. So I see very, like, I don't know what the percentage would be, but I'm pretty confident in Jalen Hurts being the starter next year too.
I'm 100% confident in it. We'll see how it goes, though. I mean, look, just because he starts at 2021 doesn't mean, because I see everybody, the
No
comments.
commitments.
It doesn't mean you're fully committed to him. That's still a trial. You're still going to see how it goes. If he doesn't work out as your starting quarterback, you're at this point with the way the team's going to look like, you're most likely picking in the high picks again next year.
That means nothing, by the way. 31 teams passed on DK Metcalf. Doesn't mean anything. Like all we can do is
you're entitled to your opinion. You're thinking, well,
of course,
you're right.
But that's not how it works, though.
Not worked out. Like it's just it's a hole up in the air.
And by the way, like just because we say that we feel Jalen Hurts deserves a realistic or a real starting opportunity, again, doesn't mean that we think that he's the quarterback for the next 3 to 5 years. This is a test trial run. We want to see what happens. But it's doing him a disservice if you take a guy in round 2 and then you just move on from it. Oh my goodness, there he is. There he is.
Yower.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Ed.
How are you, Ed?
You get the notification on your phone. Not even probably notification. Probably got a text on your phone. Carson Wentz is traded to the Indianapolis Colts. Boom. What are you thinking? It's exactly what you predicted. I mean,
well, it's about time. I mean, we've only been talking about it for 2 weeks, and it was only a matter of time. And so I was thinking, hey, it's about time. Now the Eagles can move on to some other things, which they've got a lot of pressing issues on this team, no doubt. So it was something that had to happen sooner rather than later. And it happened sooner. And now we can move on. But first we have to talk about what just went down.
Do you think it was a good trade?
I listen, Carson didn't want to be here, right? Right. You weren't going to get 2 first-round picks. That's where Howie started. Wasn't going to happen. They might get 1 first-round pick out of this. I like the 3rd-round pick. I mean, yeah, I kind of do like it. I'm kind of coming around on it. The 3rd-round pick
almost to a T, though. I'm not gonna lie. That article you put out, you almost predicted it to a T.
Yeah, right. A 3rd rounder, which is number 84. Which I think that's good value. Now they have 2 picks in the 3rd round, 70 and 84. Mm-hmm. And then that 2nd-round pick. Listen, if Carson doesn't return to form, they're not going to get a 1st-round pick because they're going to pull the plug. I don't know who's going to step in for him. Maybe Jacob Eason. He's the only guy on the roster right now at quarterback for the Colts. But I think there's a good chance Carson gets his form back. I think there's a good chance he stays healthy, although that's always a concern, and that he will play 75% of the snaps, and the Eagles will get a 1st-round pick. And so what if it's number 25 or 26, whatever it is? I mean, it's still a 1st-round pick, gives you 2 picks in the 1st round. And to be honest, 2021 is going to be very difficult to evaluate some of this talent coming out of college because many of the top guys opted out for the year due to COVID. They're not going to have an NFL scouting combine. So you're going to have to look at old tape. You're going to have to do your best to adjust to that. So 2021 is a tough draft for a lot of these teams. 2022, hopefully, we'll have a combine again. It'll be a normal college football season, and then there'll be plenty of tape out there on guys. So I like it. I like the trade. Carson didn't want to be here, so what are you going to do? You can't hang on to him, and I like how he got here.
Your Kyle Trask dreams are alive, my friend. Another 3rd-round pick that just helps out your Kyle Trask dreams a little bit more.
Yeah, but I really like this Kellen Mond guy at Texas A&M. I think he's
Kellen Mond mentioned on the live stream. That's all I like to see.
I'm not ready for this. Relax. I'm not ready for any of this.
I was Ed and I were talking about it because I'm talking about like at least because I don't think it'll be a 2nd or a 3rd. You're going to miss me with that. I'm not saying that. At the highest, I think they pick a quarterback is the 4th round. And I'm looking at these quarterbacks that are going to be like the day 3 guys. And KJ Costello popped out to me, but you definitely get me on board with Kellen Mond, though.
Well, listen, Tyler's not ready to go there yet, right? He's still drying your tears over Carson going, Tyler, or what? I mean,
there's a reason you don't see any Philadelphia Eagles gear on me right now, man. I have some emotions going through my veins. It's all overwhelming. This is all like so much to take in. It was all inevitable for so many months and weeks, and like the days felt like weeks, but it was still a surprise. Like when I saw Schefter's tweet, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was taken back
It's
still.
just like I had to double check, make sure it was him, make sure it wasn't a fake account, like it's just, and then you see the details, and I just want to give this perspective real quick. No matter what the Eagles got, if Carson Wentz goes to Indianapolis and he turns out to be a starter for the next 3 to 5 years, there's no way that the Eagles can win this trade. Now, I know he wants out, but if you just gave up franchise quarterback and you didn't get a for sure number one, to me, I think you lost. And that was, again, kind of the inevitable writing on the wall, because you said it. You didn't expect a first. I was being the dumb fan saying, no, they're going to get a first. And sure enough, it's a maybe first. But still, even then, I mean, and you said it yourself, like, if you ask 100 people what their expectations for the Indianapolis Colts are next year, I think a lot of people are going to say above 10 wins. And I think that says a lot about Carson Wentz and what his talent actually is. But it is a gamble. I understand the gamble from the Colts perspective, but it really isn't that risky because they didn't sacrifice much of a future for it.
Well, and listen, if Carson, if they don't get a first round pick, then that means Carson has failed, at least in 2021, because he either got hurt or because he wasn't effective. And 2020 wasn't an aberration. So you're getting a first round pick for him, because you're going to get that if he goes on and he has 70% of the snaps. Okay, so you are really going to get a first. If you don't, then something broke down there with Carson, and it wasn't a good trade for the Colts. But, as far as the Colts winning 11 games or more than 10 games, I think they won 10 this year without Carson Wentz. I mean, I know they had Phillip Rivers, but I mean, this is a team now that, Indy fans should be pretty excited about the possibility that Carson can take them to that next level, because he's still just 28 years old. They have a defense in place that, maybe Carson can win some games. He won't feel all the pressure having to score 3 touchdowns every game, because maybe he can win games 14-10 or 17-14 with that defense in Indianapolis. And that offensive line, they're going to give him time to throw the ball. There's no doubt. It's a good offensive line. I mean, this is a good team already without Carson Wentz. And now the hope for them is that he puts them over the top. And the hope for Eagles fans is that, he plays well enough to get them that first-round pick next year. If not, a second-round pick's a pretty good consolation.
Do you guys buy the Chicago stuff?
No.
I don't either. Okay, I'm with you. Thank you for the simple answer, Ed. Just right to the point. I appreciate it.
We're trading for him?
Well, like, just as far, the entire smoke. Like, it just seemed very fabricated. Yeah.
No. If that trade was out there, I think the Eagles would have done it regardless of whether Carson was going to be happy going to Chicago or not. And I think the Bears would have done it. That whole report of the first round pick and Tariq Cohen and Nick Foles.
I never expected that. They would have taken that immediately, right?
No, that I was told by someone that was laughable. That wasn't going to happen. So maybe they had some kind of deal out there in place. I don't think it was a first round pick. I don't think it was Nick Foles. So I don't buy it. I think the Colts kind of set the bid, and Howie went around and tried to do whatever he could to drive that bid up and maybe get more from the Colts in the end. But there was nothing. They had nothing to take back to the Colts and say, hey, well, the Bears offered us this. I mean, all Chris Ballard has to do is pick up the phone and call Ryan Pace in Chicago and say, hey, what did you offer Philly? Because Howie's telling me you're giving him a 1, Cohen and Foles. And, Ryan would just laugh, I'm sure. So, Chris Ballard said, I'll give you my third round pick and a conditional second next year, and go see what else you can do. See if you can beat that. And Howie clearly couldn't. So he came back to the Colts, and knowing that time is kind of an issue here now because you have other balls in the air, so to speak, that you're juggling, you had to do it. You had to take this deal and move on. I mean, there's a report now that the Colts were interested in trading for Derek Carr over Carson Wentz.
No, I saw that. Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, but they don't want to. They didn't want to wait around for Carr, so they jumped on Wentz. So, now the Bears are looking for a quarterback. Washington's still looking for a quarterback. But yeah, I think it was a good deal for the Eagles. Is the best they could do and move on.
Go ahead, Conor.
No, I mean, I saw that Derek Carr report. I was like, wow, that's
Derek Carr is the most overrated quarterback currently right now in the NFL because of his previous season. It's kind of bonkers. I don't even want to get into it. Like Derek Carr is
a lot of people in the chat seem to not be all in on Hurts. Like we've noticed so far, a lot of the comments are like,
be all in. You can't be all in.
And I mean, like a lot of people are like, I mean, you've seen the comments, Tyler.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to give Hurts a chance. It seems like that much. There doesn't seem that many people are open to giving Hurts the chances. What I should say.
Remove your pre-draft evaluations and just go off of that 4-game sample size. I just can't understand. Like we saw the 12-game product with Carson Wentz. And I'm a Carson Wentz fan. We saw the 12-game product, and then we saw the 4-game product, and we saw the offense look just entirely different. How can you get that 4-game sample and then just say, nah, like we don't want to give him a chance? Like there's just so much about Jalen Hurts that we've discussed in the past that there's so much to like. And again, it doesn't mean that you're committed to the next 3 to 5 years, but get a chance, feel it out, and then if he sucks, then you're examining the quarterback position again next year. And that's not saying that you can't take a flyer like Ed has mentioned in the 3rd round or 2nd round or 4th round. I wouldn't mind a quarterback in the 2nd round if they fell in love with somebody. I really wouldn't. I don't know. I take that back as soon as I said it. I don't know.
I've been leaking that lately. Kyle Trask. The last couple of episodes of the pod we recorded, he brings up Kyle Trask maybe in the 2nd round.
Maybe.
But you can't roll anything out with Howie.
No.
You really can't.
But I listen, this just happened, and I'm starting to look at the fact that, they could take a quarterback at 6. When you go back and look at what Howie said in 2016, that they have to explore every opportunity. It's not very often you get to pick in the top 10. And the most vital position on the football field is a quarterback. And I know there are other holes on this team, but now you have a hole at quarterback. Yeah, you have Jalen Hurts, a 2nd-round pick, but you don't have anybody else after him. I guess you could take one later, but listen, if they talk themselves into Trey Lance or they fall in love through their evaluations with whoever the next guy is after, Fields and Wilson and Lawrence. I mean, who are the 5 there? I'm missing somebody. Trey Lance is in that mix. Mac Jones, I guess.
Yeah, he's supposed to go in round 2 or so, but I mean, who knows?
But I could see. I mean, gosh, how weird would that be if they take Trey Lance 6th overall from the same school that gave you Carson Wentz? I mean, the optics would not look very good. And would the Eagles go to North Dakota and wine and dine Trey Lance like they did with Carson Wentz back in 2016? I mean, I don't know. It just seems I'm kind of thinking that they could take a quarterback at 6.
And you know what also scares me because of that thought is when Jalen Hurts was drafted last year and nobody saw this Carson Wentz regression happening after the draft. Howie Roseman said that not only is it a QB factory, but he said that the future of the NFL is having 2 QBs on the field at the same time. And that always sticks with me because I'm like, how serious were you with that? And is that how you plan on building a team, is just always having QB controversy? Because there needs to be a balance of, yeah, you're trying to be innovative and you're trying to be, keep up with the future of the NFL, but you also need to form some type of foundation and stability at the most important position in all of sports. And it's if you were to we've talked about taking a quarterback at 6, it would just add so much dysfunction to an already dysfunctional franchise. And this is somebody who defends the front office for the last 3 years. It would just not be a good look, at all. You can't, if you're talking about knowing how to utilize resources, you can't take a guy in the top 50 picks, or Jalen Hurts was taken 53, and then take a guy at number 6 and say that you're using resources correctly. It's just, it doesn't add up at all.
Well, I guess the flip side to that is you do need 2 quarterbacks. I don't think you need them on the field together at the same time.
And also, using resources needs to be at least somewhat like yes, you need 2 quarterbacks, and yes, you need insurance. But at one point, I mean, there's no successful franchise that's used 2, high draft picks on a quarterback, and they both thrived. It's especially in a city like Philadelphia. So this is the city of the backup quarterback, and so that's where it's frustrating.
Yeah. Well, you talk about resources. I mean, they've spent a lot of resources on that receiver position, and now you're looking, well, do you take another receiver? I mean, they took a first-round receiver last year. They took they took 3 receivers in the draft last year. After Jalen Reagor in the first round, they took 2 more, and then they traded for Marquise Goodwin. So they've invested 4.
No, you're right, and they took Arcega-Whiteside too
in the second round in 2019. So you've really gotten 5 receivers in the last 2 drafts. So would they go back and take another one at 6 overall, back-to-back years, taking a receiver?
And don't you talk us out of Jamar Chase, okay? Well, don't you do that here.
I mean, I'm just saying, you're talking about resources.
You're right. You're absolutely
thrown a lot of resources at the wall on the receiver position, and they haven't gotten it right at all. I mean, listen, if I'm the Eagles, I'll tell you who I would draft. I would draft Micah Parsons, to be honest with you. And I would make him the face of Jonathan Gannon's new defense, plant him, right there next to Alex Singleton, and let that guy just play every single snap on defense for the next 10 years if he stays healthy. That's who I would take. They're not going to do that because they don't value linebackers. Jeffrey Lurie said himself it's an offensive league, so he's probably not going to want to go defense. But to me, he's the best defensive player in this draft. I've seen reports on him that people liked him better than Devin White, the 5th overall pick of the Tampa Bay Bucks, who probably could have been the MVP in the Super Bowl this year. 12 tackles, an end zone interception. Dude was a stud. I've seen reports that he's a better linebacker prospect than Luke Kuechly was coming out of Boston College. And Kuechly was a all-pro player for years and years until injuries ended his career. That's who I would take, Micah Parsons. But they're not going to do that. Would they take another receiver? I like Jamar Chase, I guess. I don't remember much of him from 2019. I've seen some video of him from that year. Fantastic receiver. I tell you who I hope they don't pick is Devontae Smith.
Retweet. I just retweeted.
You like him, but yeah, no, go ahead. Keep going with your thought.
Well, I was just going to say I could see them taking a quarterback or maybe even an offensive lineman.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what you can't pin yourself into any specific position, and that's what good franchises do, is you just take the best player available. But
right.
At this point, and again, in Howie Roseman advocate, I have no idea what the hell the guy's going to do. I have no idea what the hell this franchise is going to do. There's no consistency. I don't know. They may take a freaking kicker at pick 6. I don't know, man. It's hard. I mean, how can we comfortably get a pulse on this team? And it's just very frustrating.
Well, let me ask you this before we even move on. What do you guys have, like, a favorite memory of Carson Wentz? I mean, anything jump out at you that said, man, that was my moment with Carson Wentz?
Probably the Redskins on Monday night.
I want to say Ed said that the other day, and I was like, that was a really good.
That game had 3 plays. It had the deep ball to Mac Hollins. It had the escape where he ran, and then he had the Corey Clement touchdown. All 3 of those plays were like, this guy's different. Like, he's just mad different. And then I remember John Gruden just like salivating on the broadcast, like over him. Like, yeah, that was my moment.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, so many good throws he made through the years. I mean, there's no questioning his arm talent. There's no doubt about it. Some of the throws he made. I mean, even this past year, that throw that he made down the left sideline in San Francisco to Travis Fulgham, that I think it was 42-yard touchdown pass. I mean, he dropped that right in the bucket of Travis Fulgham. I mean, that, he can play. I'm telling you right now, I think Carson Wentz can play, and I think the Colts are going to get the most out of him. And this will look like a bad trade for the Eagles, but right now I'm excited about the picks that they got back.
Yeah. One more, just because I got to throw in Aguilar. Week 1 against Washington, 2017. The escape, the first touchdown. That's when I kind of knew the season was about to be special.
Yeah.
That was another one.
Ooh, I do like that one. That week 1 versus Washington. So since I was in person, that was actually pretty good. 2019 week 1, second half. I mean, the Deshaun Jackson bombs.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I love those.
yes.
They were right in front of me too. I was like 2 rows away from them. So those were really special to watch.
And Ed,
they had for like one game.
Ed, as fans, we didn't get this access like you did, but I've brought this up on a previous episode. I remember reading going into the 2019 season, so it was before 2 years ago when Deshaun was first brought in, and I remember reading every single day, Carson to Deshaun, Carson to Deshaun, Carson to Deshaun. I'm sure that was a fun little duo to watch. At least, I mean, I know it was practice, but
in training camp it was, and then the lid came off the season. Deshaun gets the 2 big throws, and then week 2 in Atlanta, something, he's not in there after a half, and next thing you know, he's got the core muscle injury, and that was that. But those Conor's right. Those 2 throws to Deshaun, man, that was
nuts. I love them.
Electric, man.
They were so electric.
You thought, holy cow, this thing is going to go off the rails, man. These guys are going to just set all kinds of records, and they're going to lead the Eagles to 10, 11 wins.
Oh.
And it just
I didn't forget this one though.
And now he got traded.
It's crazy.
Yep.
That pass to Sanders was insane.
Yeah. I say if Myles didn't get his hands up to catch that with his hands, that ball might have gone right through his chest.
He ain't lying.
That ball had some steam on it.
Yeah. Carson's arm talent is it will be missed.
Yeah, and there's throws across his body to Jeffrey a couple times, seeing Jeffrey.
That Josh Perkins.
Yeah.
That Josh Perkins touchdown against the Giants where he threw across his body was pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're just going on a tangent here.
I like we're just like reminiscing real quick.
The escape against Chicago on the screen. They blew up the screen and he just was like, F it, I'm going to take this myself. Like, who are you? Like, yeah, I'm going to miss number 11. I am.
Hey, listen, the guy was the first quarterback in Eagles history to throw for over 4,000 yards, right? Did that in 2019. Didn't even have a receiver go over 500 yards.
0 for 500, yep.
I mean, he left a mark on this franchise. He set the single season record for touchdown passes in a single year with 33, breaking it with 2 torn knee ligaments in that Los Angeles game. That's when he threw his 33rd. And that was a record that I think it was held since 1967 when Sonny Jurgensen had it, I think. I mean, he broke records that are going to stand here for a while, I think. And he's going to be missed. I mean, I know the fan base looks at him differently now because, they might look at him as, kind of being soft and a little, on the baby side. But listen, he didn't come out and say anything publicly. He didn't, voice any displeasure that he had. You got to remember those things. And it's the same with like Alshon Jeffrey, for instance. Alshon Jeffrey was a great player for the Eagles in 2017, made a great catch in the Super Bowl for a touchdown. But now everybody wants to run him out of town. They did last year because of the money that the Eagles had to pay him. And because of all the leaks that, were linked to him, allegedly, to Josina Anderson about Carson Wentz in the front office. So, once time passes, you have to kind of look back and with some different perspective and realize, we were lucky to have Wentz for 5 years here in Philadelphia. And it's really a shame it couldn't last longer. And plenty of blame to go around there. Howie Roseman, probably at the top of the list. Jeffrey Lurie, a very close second. Carson also bears some, culpability here. But, it ran its course. And now it's time to move on, unfortunately.
And I
a
agree
really crappy inevitable.
Yeah.
So it looks like Nick Sirianni wasn't brought in to fix Carson Wentz. He was brought in because he's been a part of staffs that deal with unexpected changes at quarterback every year.
Yep.
That's, by the way, you just click something in my head. If you talk about the PR around Nick Sirianni, he came in and talked about having 2 starting quarterbacks, and there was this huge disconnect with Doug in the front office, and Doug would sometimes go in pressers and say things, and then like a week later he would contradict himself. Hopefully we don't have that with Sirianni. But if Sirianni comes here and says he's got 2 starting quarterbacks, and this is a situation that most teams don't have, and then they trade Carson, they keep Jalen, and they take a quarterback at 6. Now your coach has just came in, and you can't even take what he says serious. So, understand the PR side of it. There needs to be, again, some consistency in this fan base, because we're being fed a lot of information. And if there's no consistency, what the hell are we going off of? We're not seeing Howie's face. Jeffrey Lurie is now the face of depressors. But I'm being told this by Leary, that Carson Wentz is this franchise guy and that we want to build around him. And now you just traded him. And then I have Jalen Hurts, who you just took in round 2, who I'm supposed to have faith in as a fan. And again, I'm just talking for the general fan. You guys are feeding me this stuff, but then you go ahead and take it would all be contradicting to me. So I just try to find conclusions and answers. I just don't the dots do not add to me. The dots do not add to a quarterback at 6. They will. I'll eat crow if they do. It doesn't add up here on February 17th or 18th, whatever the date is. It just doesn't add up right now for them taking a quarterback at 6. And obviously that is my biased opinion, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense on what he's preached and what they've preached. And then the Brian Johnson hire, there's just too much.
Ed, are you salivating about Nick Sirianni's next press conference?
Whenever that might be, yeah, I guess. Who knows when we're going to hear from Nick? Because this deal really can't become official until March 17th. So, we're not going to hear from any Eagles official until at least then.
Right, because that's what they put out that tweet, and they're reports, and
right.
People are why are you tweeting this? You should just say it. They're no, you can't.
No.
You literally can't till the league year's done. Matthew Stafford trade's not even official.
No, yeah, nothing can be official. I mean, even if they turn around and trade Zach Ertz or Andre Dillard or Jordan Mailata, whoever, you can't announce it until March 17th. So I would hope that, we hear from Nick and Howie, the March 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere in that 3-day window. I'm not sure we'll hear from Jeffrey Lurie again. I mean, I would talk if I'm him. If I'm the PR people there, I would try to get him back on Zoom to kind of go through this, because clearly this has divided the fan base, with, people wanting to keep Carson, people wanting to move on from Carson, and, Howie Roseman's kind of front and center on this. So I think if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I'm trying to appease my fan base and explain to them what exactly, let's have some transparency. What happened? Well, how did this go so wrong so quickly? But listen, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not even sure Howie will talk to us. Typically in the past, I'm trying to think. I know they, the GM and his right-hand man, Joe Douglas in the past, Andy Weidel this year, talked right before the draft, about a week before the draft, to kind of go over questions with us for about an hour. And I know they spoke at the Combine. I was at the Combine last year when Andy Weidel and Howie Roseman talked, but we're not going to have the Combine this year. So there's a missed opportunity.
Sorry to cut. If you had a thought, I apologize. Do you put any weight on the Jets not having any reported interest in Carson Wentz, with Joe Douglas being there?
Say that again.
Do you hold any weight, or is there any weight to hold, I guess I should say, with the Jets not having any, and maybe they called, I don't know, but reportedly they were not interested in Carson Wentz, and that was the previous GM or assistant. Joe Douglas is there. So obviously he's got his eyes on Carson Wentz and behind the scenes. And to me, I was always like, maybe the Jets could be a potential landing spot. I always thought that maybe they may gain interest, but there was never anything there. I'm curious on, obviously the relationship between Wentz and Howie broke somewhere. And so I wonder if Joe Douglas has similar thoughts, because if there's an available quarterback, and I know they're picking number 2, and maybe they're going to take a quarterback, who knows? Probably looks that way. But I just thought it was interesting that Carson wasn't even mentioned towards the New York Jets, or, because Frank Reich was immediate a connection. They always do that with these guys. Like, there's this side, there's this connection, So I just found that interesting. I was curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Listen, the Jets have their own troubles with Sam Darnold. They already have a enigma at quarterback. I don't know why they would want another enigma other than that familiarity that Joe Douglas would have had with Carson. But they have to figure out what they're going to do. They're holding the number 2 pick. If you're trading for Carson Wentz, who had a horrible year last year, and you don't know if that was an aberration or if it's a trend, he has an injury history. I mean, why? I don't think they would try to bring somebody on like that because they have the number 2 pick and they could take a quarterback at number 2. And if you trade for Carson Wentz, who was threatened by Jalen Hurts being picked 53, you're not going to be happy when they take Justin Fields or Zach Wilson at number 2. So I just think it doesn't make any sense for them other than that familiarity because they hold the number 2 pick. They can grab a quarterback, probably will. They have Sam Darnold, who's just as much of an enigma as Carson Wentz. They might be trying to get rid of him. I don't know why you'd bring on another one that you don't really know too much about going forward. So, yeah, it didn't surprise me the Jets weren't in. In fact, it looks like really only the Colts were in on this and maybe to an extent the Bears. But there was really not a lot of interest out there, and this is a quarterback-needy league. A lot of teams looking for quarterbacks or to change quarterbacks, and Carson didn't draw a whole lot of interest. So,
which clearly, I just find bonkers. I just find it bonkers, man.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the 2020 year. It's because of the injuries for sure. I mean, it's too many questions there, I think, around Carson. And Mike knows him, Groh knows him, Taylor knows him in Indianapolis, so it made sense all along that it would be Indianapolis.
He's back with press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I think Eagle fans do deserve some type of answer. You can't
right.
You can't talk the way you did about Carson Wentz. It go this completely silent. Then you move him. You can't just have a presser and say, Jalen's the guy or we're going to move on. Like there needs to be an explanation on what the F happened between your franchise quarterback, who is the most important player or most important person in your franchise behind your owner, GM, and coach. Something happened to where Carson said, despite a new coaching staff, I am getting the hell away from here. And I want to get away. Whatever caused that, we need to know. Because it's just not fair. And I want to hear Carson speak, and maybe we'll get answers. Carson's not the type to talk about it, though, like an oppressor. He's not the type to talk about this kind of stuff. So I don't know if we'll ever get a true answer.
Well, you hope that, again, that message should come down from the ownership because it's stunning the way it happened. And to me, that's, and you hope that he would tell the truth. But if you're the owner and you don't want to look like you're being meddlesome, but in this situation, I think he needs to come up with an explanation. I think he needs to explain it to the fan base. Even if it's just a statement, just a press release, stating why they decided to move on. I mean, that wouldn't really appease me. I'd rather get him in front and center and hear him answer some questions. But at the minimum, they should have at least a press release explaining.
Yeah, I don't want a corny freaking statement that says we did what's best for Carson and what's best for the team. No,
right.
Why was it best for Carson? Why was it best for Carson? Why was it best for the team? Yeah, we need in-depth answers for sure. I don't know if we're going to get them, though.
Still trying to digest this Eagles trading Wentz news. We're all still – I mean, I know we knew it was going to happen, but I mean, bricks.
It's interesting because we talked about this, I think, on a previous show, Conor and I, about Carson and how when he put that tweet out congratulating Rodney McLeod, how thin in the face he looked and, very bright-eyed. I put a picture of Carson with a story I put on SI.com earlier today of him talking to the media on the last day we talked to him, December 6th, and you can really see a difference in his face, how much heavier it looks. Now, he does have a beard, but it just looks heavier. He looks tired. He looks, he looked completely different when he was with Rodney McLeod, congratulating him on Twitter.
Oh, he's glowing.
It was, it's really, and I didn't think much of it. I thought, he does look thinner. But then I looked at this photo that I found and put with the story, and I'm like, man, the difference is really startling. How his face looks completely different. His eyes look different.
Penny Moore, the Colts slot corner, just put up a photo of him FaceTiming Wentz, and Wentz is all smiles. I was like, oh man, I saw that. It was tough. It's tough to say, man.
The ex-girlfriend's already FaceTiming another guy. Gosh, come on, man. Couldn't even wait a second. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I mean, and like the Bloomies is in here just chiming in. Yeah, like they want to leave because of Howie, but why? What is Howie Roseman doing that is causing a 28-year-old franchise quarterback who was just given $130 million to want to, like, I understand it's easy and everybody's going to comment and say, Howie sucks, Howie this. Howie is not as bad as the fan base says, but what is causing a franchise quarterback to do this? And maybe it is as bad as the fan base is painting it to be. But clearly something happened with Carson, and maybe it had to be him being benched. Maybe it was the Jalen Hurts selection originally. Maybe it's a mixture of both. But this doesn't happen. This isn't normal. This is an abnormal situation. This is not something that typically happens. I mean, Andrew Brandt talked about the cap hit. Like, the Eagles are paying him $30 million to not be on the roster. Like, this is a weird situation, and they need to get to the bottom of it. There's no way Jeff Lurie should just be like, okay, we're trading Carson. We're just eliminating this situation because he doesn't want to be here. We got to figure out why so this doesn't happen again. Because if you find another franchise quarterback, you need to be confident that he's going to want to be here in 5 years. Like, this is very scary water that the Eagles are getting into. And I say that as a non-negative fan. I say that as a non-depressing fan. I say that as somebody who's very optimistic, somebody who's talked highly about this Eagles front office for a long time. They're hitting some very scary waters right now. And this is not a good look across the league. There's no way franchises are looking at the Eagles and saying, man, they're handling this well. Like, this is kind of embarrassing.
Oh, it is. It's 100% embarrassing.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's a really good point. Well, how can you convince us that this isn't going to happen again in 5 years with Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, or sooner, you can't. You really can't. I think when you look at the Eagles, they may have looked at Carson and saw the injury history and realized that he might not ever be the same that we saw from him just because of the injury toll.
If they were that proactive on it, like if they were just like, they saw the injury against the Seahawks and they were just like, yo, like, we're tired of this. I guess then they did they say the longer you own your mistake, the worse it is, right? Well, they just paid Carson a year ago. And so it's like, that's owning the mistake immediately. And like, I just can't get on board with that because it's like, don't you kind of think like a lot goes into the contract that you're giving him? And so if you were to change your mind after 1 year, to me, that's kind of shitty. Excuse my language, but that's kind of crappy, right? Like, but that would be wild. And that would be very intelligent if that's true. Because then they're like, nah, like, you're just not as good as we thought. And we're going to own this mistake. We're going to take somebody that we think that could fill your shoes. That would be wild. That would be absolutely wild. And the timing would be nuts. And I'm not ready to put that on Howie, though.
No, I mean, it's Jeffrey Lurie, too. I mean, he's the one taking the financial bath here.
He had to sign off on it.
Yeah, so it's not just Howie. It's Jeffrey, too, that is signed off on this. And you wonder why.
What is it with owners getting older and getting more hands-on as they get older? Why is that?
I don't know. I'm getting older, too, and I still can't answer that question.
No, like I just feel like Jeff Lurie was, yes, he's always been somewhat hands-on, but he's always let his managers do management. He's let his coaches coach. And that is what a good owner does. And like now we're hearing reports that Howie is just a yes man, which is the worst situation for an owner. It's not, again, I'm getting to the point where I'm like starting to believe that this front office is just on a downward trend rather than like an upward ascension. And it's very, very scary because it is so hard for teams who have bad owners to overcome it. And I'm hoping Jeff Lurie isn't going down that path, but it sure as hell seems that way.
And it's his team. I mean, he can choose his path. But the important thing is now the Eagles have to nail this draft, and they have to nail next year's draft. And if they don't, I mean, we could be looking at an extended downward trend, downward spiral for years to come here. I mean, these drafts coming up are important, no doubt. They're all important, but
they better figure out this quarterback situation.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
Yeah, well, they're going to bring in competition. I don't know where it's going to come from. Draft, free agency. That's what Nick Sirianni wants, right? He wants competition at every position. Even the coaching staff, there has to be competition, according to him. So, they're going to have it at the quarterback spot. It's just not going to be, here's the job, Jalen. Here's the keys to the offense. You're going to have to compete with 2 other quarterbacks. I think he's the front runner. I think they want him to win the job, but there's going to be competition.
Yeah, I mean,
when he went on his little media tour last week or 2 weeks ago when Carson was being silent, that was kind of, and then the report came out that they were going to throw together with the receivers. To me, that was kind of like a affirmation.
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet you a Philly cheesesteak that Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback in 2021, week 1.
Who you betting? Me? Because I'm in Philly.
I'll bet you. I feel like if anybody's questioning if Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback, out of all 3 of us, it would be you. Because I think it's going to be Hurts.
Well,
I do too. I think it's absolutely Hurts.
I do too. I mean,
so we're betting anybody who disagrees.
Here we get to Philadelphia. I'll get you a cheesesteak, but I'm not ready to say, Kyle Trask is going to start the year as the quarterback.
And what do you think about this, Ed? I brought this up when you were being tardy.
I was working, brother.
I'm just kidding, dude. I'm totally kidding. I'm playing.
Editor in the world.
But I said this. So hypothetically, if they take somebody at 6, let's say they take Justin Fields, he falls to them. Do you remember how sheltered Carson Wentz was when he was taken at 2? And they said, they had Bradford. They said he's not playing. He's not playing in his rookie year. But then the injury happened and they traded him away. But the full intent was you're sitting. So I feel like even if a guy was taken at pick 6, which again I would disagree with, but if a guy's taken at 6, to me, I still feel like if they invested that pick into him, they're going to have the same mindset of, now they'll label it a competition, right? Mm-hmm. But they'll still have that mindset of, we don't want to rush this guy. We don't want to rush him. And then Jalen Hurts would then be the starter again because he's got at least a little bit of experience from NFL speed. He's been to training camp. He knows the players. He's got a relationship with the receivers. I would see that more so being the plan because it's the same front office. And I would assume that they would kind of have the same game plan for a young quarterback of we're not just going to throw you into the fire, especially if this is a rebuild. That's how you ruin quarterbacks, isn't it? So but then again, you could potentially ruin Jalen Hurts because this is a rebuild.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I don't know.
It's going to be fun. All right, guys.
There's a lot of questions.
Thank you all for tuning in. We'll keep it up with answering a bunch of questions as much as possible because this is going to be this is a whole week event. You know how much is going to be talked about?
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of Carson Wentz coverage to go with the Eagles still, no matter what. We're going to be talking a lot about the situation for weeks on weeks, it seems like.
Well, I can tell you what we're going to start doing with the SI.com site, the Eagle Maven, is I think we're going to start looking at not every quarterback, but we're going to each day, I think we're going to have a series on quarterbacks and we're going to analyze strengths, weaknesses, stat pack on each quarterback. The top 5 quarterbacks that are supposed to go in the first round, and then maybe 5 others, guys like Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, whoever else. But I think everybody loves to talk about a quarterback, so that's something you can look forward to. We're going to try and do one a day, to kind of get you pumped for when the Eagles take a quarterback at 6. I know Tyler won't read it because
I was going to ask when the Jamar Chase one was going to come out.
Yeah.
Well, he's not a quarterback, but we're just going to go all quarterback all the time now. But no, I just think we're just going to analyze the quarterback because I think it's a very real possibility. Listen, what are some of the positives of taking a quarterback at 6? It gives you flexibility. You have 2 very highly regarded quarterbacks that if somebody gets hurt or somebody's struggling, you bring in the other guy. I mean, it does give you some flexibility, and it gives you some sense going forward over the next couple of years of who your quarterbacks are going to be, because they're going to be on rookie contracts. And that's the best time to win a Super Bowl is when a quarterback's on a rookie deal, because you can invest money in other areas. So that's one positive to taking a QB at 6.
And we rarely know what the team's plans are during the draft, right? We are always guessing what they're going to do, what position.
Right.
And so leading up to the draft, there's going to be leaks that they're super interested in Wilson or Fields or Trask or whatever.
Yeah.
How he's going to keep us guessing. He's going to keep other teams guessing. It's just the way it is. So
yeah, and that's why
I'm looking forward. Yeah.
Love the speculation. There's going to be a lot of opinions. In my opinion, there's no right or wrong opinion, but the only opinions that count are Howie's and Jeffrey's.
I don't know. That's debatable.
All right, guys. Let's tune in. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.